What's up, duelists? Today I got an announcement, and then I got a banger deck and some games for you guys. But this announcement is pretty important, especially if you're intending on participating in RBET this season, or RBET Maryland specifically. This year, we had planned the dates out in accordance to the YCS dates that we had known about, and unfortunately, Konami did schedule Nats on the same day as RBET Maryland, which there's only so many potential Ultimate Time Wizard events. We don't even know if there's going to be an Ultimate Time Wizard event at Nats yet, but me and the people at Feel Good Gaming, the great guys at Feel Good Gaming, we got together and we decided that rather than make you guys choose between going to Yu-Gi-Oh! Nats and come to RBET Maryland, we would rather go to the venue and try to negotiate and see if we can move the date. So we are going to be moving the date of RBET Laurel, Maryland. For those of you that have already signed up, we will be reaching out to you. And if you've signed up and you've already booked travel arrangements, get in contact with me, whether on Discord or I will email you. And make sure and check your emails from my email. You'll see it if you've signed up for the tournament. You probably know my email. And I'll see what I can do with regards to helping compensate you if you can't get your travel stuff refunded. So just want to make sure you guys have the best experience possible playing Edison this year. Make sure you guys have the most opportunities to play Ultimate Time Wizard stuff. We don't want to step on any toes. We don't want to, create any sort of competing event or anything like that. So we're gonna be moving the date. It is a little bit frustrating, but yeah, it's a lot of work too on our end. But we just want to make sure you guys have the best possible experience this year and you have the best possible year playing Edison. So we're gonna be moving that date, and if you're planning on coming, stay tuned. We'll get a new date announced as soon as possible for RBET Laurel, Maryland. As of the other events, all the online events are remaining the same days, and RBET New York is still the same day. So if you guys are coming to any of those events, those are still good to go. Those are still green lights. It's just the RBET Laurel, Maryland that is being affected. All right, let's get into the video. Thank you guys for your patience with the RBET stuff this year. It's been a lot of challenges. A lot of challenges have come up. I'm learning a lot, and that's a good thing for me personally. But as far as for you guys, I just want to make sure you guys have the best year playing Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't want to make anybody have a bad year. I don't know how to say it. Anyway, this is the deck I'm playing today, or I played today, and I just want to preface with this deck is mostly conceptual. I was testing out the Saber Counter Fairy deck, and I was like, I wonder if you could play a Saber mid-range deck that doesn't look to combo at all. It just tries to get a couple hand rips from Airbellum, or maybe a Full Helm Knight Revive, or maybe your Full Helm Knight gets some pluses over a Raikou, and so I threw this together. Now, I don't know if this deck is particularly good or bad, but I do have a revised version at the end of all these matches that are going to account for some of the things that I encountered in the matches. Now, one cool thing about this type of build is even though you're not playing the powerful Fall Troll or Gotham's E-Call or Rescue Cat even, you do only have 4 cards, Call of the Haunted, 2 Embers Blade, and 1 Sangan, that really care about the graveyard. So in the sideboarded games, we can go ahead and bring in 3-Dimensional Fissure and a Macrocosmos. That was at least the concept here. Some sort of deck that can play D-Fissure and can go second and first. And this was the concept. And I think it's a pretty sound concept in theory. Let's go ahead and see how it looks in practice. So this is the first match up against the Fatal AK. Now the Fatal AK is playing Blackwings, which is one of the top meta decks. I mean, it's one of the decks you'll see at every Edison tournament. You probably can't expect to win an Edison tournament without playing against Blackwings at least once. Although I will say Edison tournaments are pretty diverse, so maybe we can. Maybe you can. I don't know. I open up with just set compulsory. I don't really want to commit anything into a possible brain control quite yet. That's something I noticed immediately that was a weakness with this deck is all of these cards getting brain controlled are really bad for you. So I'm maybe I want to consider some sort of counter for that specific scenario. But that's just something in the back of my head. My opponent sets a monster, passes back to us with a back row as well. I'm a normal summon Breaker. He's going to go for the bottomless. I thought for a really long time here about bouncing this Breaker. I think I should have let this bottomless resolve and saved the compulsory in hindsight. But I didn't want my compulsory to get popped by a Raikou. And I thought, oh, maybe he has a set Raikou. So I'm just going to use my compulsory now. And then just basically pass back. If he sets another back row, I can just break or pop that. And if he doesn't set another back row, then we can run over his Raikou with full Helm Knight and get our plus that way. He's going to tribute summon Sirocco, so kind of a plus, kind of not. He's going to attack us for 2,000. We're going to draw into Heavy Storm. So, interesting hand. We've got a couple of interesting plays, but it is a little bit normal summon heavy. And that's something I'm noticing about the deck is this initial version of this deck probably has one or two too many normal summons. So, I'm going to start off with the Emrys Blade, and then I'm going to crash and go get another full Helm Knight. This is a play I love making in regular X Sabers, which is if you have Emrys Blade plus Book of Moon, you can crash the Emrys Blade, grab full Helm, then full Helm plus Book of Moon, run something over, and get that Emrys Blade back. It's one of my favorite plays. It's a nice +1, feels good, gets you a tuner and a battle recruiter, so your board is really resilient, and the tuner also has a negate attack built in, so I can just kind of pass on this, and it's going to be very difficult for an opponent to clear both of these cards in a way that we won't be able to Caius reversal them, which is very nice. So one thing I've noticed that I will say later on in the video as well about this deck that I really, really did like was I really did enjoy the Caiuses. I felt like they felt really strong. They felt like they overperformed, particularly with like the full Helm Knight, Emrys Blade. It was really easy to just keep bodies in play so that I could land a Caius or level up one of my X Sabers into a Caius on the following turn. So I really did like them. I actually 100% would be adding the third to this deck moving forward. He's going to normal summon Black Whirlwind, search Blizzard. He's going to activate the Vayu. Vayu, bring out Armed Wing, attack the full Helm Knight. Now, he thought for a very long time about searching the Blizzard, which led me to believe that he possibly doesn't have Kalut, although he definitely does, and we do lose the game as a result of that, unfortunately. He's going to run over the full Helm Knight. I make a misplay here. I negate the first attack. I shouldn't have negated that, because if I don't negate that, I take 400 instead of 1,000. I have an extra 600 life points here. I go to 4,900 instead of 4,300. And he's definitely just not attacking the Emrys Blade. Like, if I don't negate the Bora, then he's not attacking the Emrys Blade with the Armed Wing. Like, that's just silly. He's just going to set the Deep Prison and pass. So it's like, I get the negate attack either way, and I take less damage if I don't negate the first attack. So, big mistake on my part. What he should have done instead was actually attack with the Armed Wing first, force the negate, and then could have had the option to attack the Emrys Blade. But even that, I mean, you're still attacking the full Helm Knight. Anyway, we draw into another Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer, so just far too many normal summons. This hand is not bad. Like, we can Heavy Storm, sack for Caius, banish the Bora to stop his Blizzard, and attack the Armed Wing, but unfortunately, he Kalutes here, and the Blizzard plus the Kalut into Android and the Armed Wing here are going to be lethal damage. Even if I hadn't negated that attack, it would have been lethal damage, so because he does end up having the Kalut, we do end up losing this game. So, pretty tough. Kind of hand clogged with the breakers. Compulsing the own breaker set us back pretty far. We didn't have any of our special summons, our 2 Cyber Dragons, or our Trag Gores. So I didn't really vibe with it. I didn't really vibe with the heavy count of Kaiku and Breaker. I think 5 of those is too many. I think possibly want to cut some of those moving forward with the deck. In this hand, we've got a couple of X Sabers, a Caius, a Call of the Haunted. So we do have one of our special summons, which is really nice in Call of the Haunted. And we've got a Bottomless Trap Hole, which is one of the best cards against Blackwings. So we're going to draw for turn. It's the second Caius. Very nice. Just a great card in this deck in general. Set 2 pass. He's going to draw a card, Allure of Darkness, draw 2, banish Kalut, special summon Cyber Dragon, so already a card I'm not too upset about seeing. X Sabers doesn't really care about Cyber Dragon all that much. He kind of just procs our effects, is a juicy Goyo target, etc. He sets a monster, sets a back row, passes. I decided to just attack the set monster. Last game he set Vayu, so I'm like, alright, it's probably just Vayu. He's got a Bottomless back there, so was probably baiting us into thinking it was like Icarus or something. Main phase 2, now that he no longer has a Wing Beast in play, I'm going to sack for Caius. And Caius is actually going to target the monster. He's going to chain Bottomless. So we just got a solid +1 there by battle, which is really nice. And the Caiuses, like I said, they're really nice because you sack and then you get the X Sabers in the grave and then the full Helm can bring them back. And then you just have all these free bodies floating around that the Caiuses can convert off of later in the game. I also think that it's possible we may want like one God MZ Caller, just like one way to get even more extra bodies into play, or an additional special summon. But I think that as of right now, the biggest change I want to make is get the third Caius in the deck. Summons the not Armed Wing, the Gale, attack for 13. I'm just gonna let that attack go through. I could have Call of the Haunted did something, but then he'd just have it main phase 2, and that's kind of annoying. I draw into DD Survivor because I did side in the DD Survivor stuff, just I wanted to see how it went. Brought out the Emrys Blade, crashed, he's going to try and collude. So we get a collude for free there, which is really nice. Going to go grab Airbellum. And then we're going to sack for Caius, which is really nice too, because, you know, Caius just putting in that work. Deal 1,000. And we're just up solid 5 cards to 2 against Blackwings, which is nice. He's going to set his monster, set his back row pass. I'm going to normal full helm. I'm going to attack. He's going to go Icarus, target the 2 monsters. I'm going to let that resolve. And then he says, can I change the targets? And I said no, mostly because once you know Icarus attack is resolving, that gives you a totally different information on the back row. This is not a play you can take back. The reason being is if I had Starlight Road, if I had Solemn Judgment, now that you know I don't have those 2 cards, you get what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? It's like, oh, now you want to change it? It's like, you know, you got information. You got information from me saying it resolved, so you can't really take it back. I'm just going to pass the turn. He's going to special Dark Arm priority target. We're going to bottomless. It's actually a misplay to priority target there. You should not priority target. You should just special summon it, see if it resolves, and then it also keeps your Colute in the graveyard for potential Blizzard. He's going to activate the Armed Wing, special summon that, hit for 2,300, so big damage, kind of difficult for us to deal with that guy. We draw Breaker, set, pass. He's going to attack. We're going to Mirror Force. He's going to go pass. We're going to draw Book of Moon. I'm going to flip Airbellum, hit for 16, and hit for 18. Airbellum is why I like the 3 compulsory. If you have, you know, compulsory to give yourself an open board to attack. Airbellum getting the hand rip is nice, and 1800 connecting directly is going to put him pretty low. Set Book of Moon, pass the turn back. He draws a card. Cyber Dragon gets special summoned. Thankfully, he doesn't have an additional summon, so we're able to book the Cyber Dragon. DD Survivor looking kind of mid. I'm going to be honest, I'm not a fan of it. I think I'm going to cut it moving forward, but I do like the D-Fissures. I think they are pretty good. I'm a normal summon Breaker, try to pop the back row. The reason I did this is there's only one bottomless that really punishes me here. Blackwings, generally speaking, don't play Torrential Tribute, and it's very likely that the card he set is just something he didn't want to get hand-ripped from him with Airbellum. So we're just going to pop the back row, attack with DD Survivor. Like, it's very likely it's a dead card just because, I don't know, one bottomless is gone. They usually don't play Torrential. If it's Solemn, I win the game. If it's Mirror Force, whatever, Breaker Pop is great. And if it's just like a spell card, like a Brain Controller or something he was sandbagging, then that's going to be good to blow up with the Breaker. So, yeah, he's going to concede there. He did have an extra draw step. He wasn't actually dead on board. He would have had 400 life points left over, but he would have had to draw something pretty specific to win the game from there, because we could synchro main phase 2 into, like, either Arcanite or Ancient Fairy Dragon in defense and be like, answer this or lose. This hand is okay. We are going second, but it's only okay. He's going to set 3 pass. Pardon me, I have the hiccups. Holy shit. I don't think that's ever happened. God damn. That's embarrassing. I'm not cutting it out, though. You're getting the full human experience on this channel. Anyway, Ember's Blade gets summoned. Ember's Blade attacks a set monster. And set 4. Pass. I have an idea, but I'm not sure if that idea is good or not. He's going to go Black Whirlwind, normal summon Bora. This is a really awkward moment. I know he has Icarus attack, right? I know he has something that made him want to set Colute turn 1. And that's obviously going to be Icarus attack, right? Obviously. Or like Bottomless Trap Hole or something like that. So I have a read that his 2 back row are Icarus Bottomless. That being the case, I want to book the Bora and try to bait the Icarus now, and then I Solemn the Icarus. Or, depending on what he targets, I let it resolve. But, I don't know. I don't know about this circumstance. I could have also just not booked the Bora. He gets a search, and then, like, what does he do? I guess he could search, like, Gale, Special, have Ember's Blade, try to Black Rose the field, but then he has, like, 2 cards to my 1, and that's, like, not that much of an advantage, and you're, like, throwing away your Icarus and your Whirlwind, which could definitely get you +1s later. He could also search Blizzy. I figured the Blizzy follow-up is going to be annoying enough because we have a Battle Trap, Mirror Force, which isn't that great, into Blizzy follow-up, so I'm thinking, like, alright, here's the deal. I'm going to book the Bora. I'm going to try to stop him from getting the search. I feel like that's a good enough exchange. Shut off the Whirlwind search, put the monster face down so we can run it over. He's going to set 1 more and pass. Now, I've got a lot of options here. I could just attack. If the new back row is something like Deep Prison, though, which it is, then I get fucking owned. And the read is that his 2 initial back row are Icarus plus Bottomless. So I think the new back row is either Royal Oppression or some sort of D-Prison, some sort of Battle Trap, something he would have set to answer the Emmer's Blade. So I think I'm going to go normal summon Full Helm, Synchro into Hyunlei, and then Hyunlei target the new one for sure, a random one of the old ones, and Black Whirlwind. And hopefully I don't hit the Bottomless. I'm going to go target Whirlwind, target the new one, and target the center one. He's going to go Chainlink to Bottomless. Now, I should have chained Solemn Judgment here, but I make a misplay, a really costly misplay. If I chain Solemn Judgment here, I undoubtedly win. I get my 4 for 2, because I spent 2 cards to make the Hyunlei, so it's -1. And then I spent Solemn, so that's 2. But then I clear all of his back row. I run over the Bora, so that's a 5 for 2. He drops down to just 2 cards, 1 from the draw and 1 in the hand, versus my 4, and I've got Call of the Haunted and Mirror Force. So I'm really liking that situation. I didn't Solemn this Bottomless, and I got fucking owned, because I got a little bit scared that he might have his own Solemn. So I was like, okay, if he has his own Solemn, then I lose my Hyunlei, I drop to 4,000, but then why wouldn't he have Solemn the Hyunlei? And that's something that, like, I didn't fully understand. I don't know why I thought he would still have Solemn at this point. So I should have 1,000% Solemned. But I said, that is okay. And then he chains Icarus attack. And I'm like, fuck. Now I gotta Solemn the Icarus attack. I'm losing my Hyunlei. Everything is bad here. Huge punt. I have to pay 4,000 on this bullshit. And then his Bora's also out of play. So I can't even, like, special the Cyber Dragon. Like, I don't know. This was just a punt. This was a super punt. I definitely misread the situation there. And I ended up in a much worse situation where instead of having the Hyunlei, I have no Hyunlei, which would have been a great Call of the Haunted target. And I am at 4,000. So, a little bit awkward. He's going to normal Shura attack. I'm going to take 18. I'm going to special summon Cyber Dragon. And I'm going to attack him as well. Unfortunately, his last card is fucking Kalut. So that means he had the perfect outs. The perfect outs, of course. He's going to be able to activate Shura. I ask him if he wants to activate. He's going to activate. And I'm sincerely hoping he special summons something in defense position so I can call Full Helm Knight, run it over, bring out Emmer's Blade, and at least get a plus that way. But he brings out in defense, or in attack. This is still okay, because Emmer's Blade can crash, and I can get the Airbellum, or I can get another Emmer's Blade. And then main phase 2, I think for a really long time, I'm like, if he top decks Blizzard, there's a chance because I made the Emmer's Blade in defense, he just summons the Blizzard and, like, tries to go for the Pierce Lethal. In which case, there's no reason for me to set this Torrential in case he top decks Heavy Storm, because he'll play into the Mirror Force no matter what. I did not take into account that if he top decks Blizzard, he'll do it main phase 2 after swinging with the Shura. So I should have calculated that play into mind, but he does exactly that. And then synchros into Bionic, and then we don't top deck him out. So I made some pretty bad plays this game. My opponent also had 2 perfect back-to-back top decks in Shura off the top into Blizzard off the top, which were, like, kind of only outers in this situation. But what can you do? That's Yu-Gi-Oh! You know? We lose, which is tough. Pretty difficult. GG's to our opponent, though. He made some plays that I didn't expect. I think that can go a long way. Not that his plays were worse or better by any means. They just were plays that I didn't expect, and they worked out well for him. And I made a couple of crucial errors. Just kind of my general uncertainty with the deck. But what... Not uncertainty. What is it? Unfamiliarity. There we go. Unfamiliar with it. But what I want to take away from this is that the cards are good. Like, straight up, Full Helm Knight and Emmer's Blade are good cards. Like, on their own. They don't really need, like, some crazy payoff, because, in a way, they're kind of the payoff. Like, we don't need to be doing, like, Gotham Z-Call crazy shit, right? We could, and I'm not saying that we should play it without it entirely, but just, like, floating a Full Helm Knight off a Raikou pop and then just having a negate attack into a Caius drop is, like, that's already really good. Like, that's already, like, pretty strong, and it's a little bit more versatile as well, because if I draw a Caius without Full Helm Knight or without X-Saber names, it's still a Caius, Whereas if I draw a Gotham's E-Call and I don't get my graveyard set up, it's not still a Gotham's E-Call, you know? The ceiling's not quite as high, but even in this format, I think Gotham's E-Call, like resolving Gotham's E-Call and resolving Caius is like almost functionally identical. Anyway, moving on to the next match. The next match is up against the Worm King. Against the Worm King, I win the die roll, which is very nice, obviously. Winning the die roll is very nice. We open up with a really strong hand. I've got Mind Control, Breaker. I've got all the best going second cards. Once again, going first, a little bit awkward, but yeah, he sets 2 passes. I'm going to normal Breaker. I'm going to pop his back row. It's going to be Chain Book on the Breaker, so free +1. Set Dust Shoot the opponent, get to check out his hand. He has 1 monster, so we're going to be able to take that monster. He's got Heavy Storm, Icarus, Solemn Judgment, and Brain Control. So he's going to put back the Blizzy. He's going to go ahead and Legacy into Royal Oppression. On our turn, I'm going to draw Caius. I'm going to normal Full Helm Knight. I'm going to attack with the Full Helm Knight, dealing 13. And my opponent's going to quit out of the game. Which is crazy, because I think he was totally fine. He probably just had to go. But if you look at that circumstance, what I would have done was I would have synchroed into Arcanite, maybe. Maybe not. But I would have tried to do that at least. And then he would have oppressioned it for free. So I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't have made Arcanite there. Maybe because I knew about Solemn Judgment, I wouldn't have made Arcanite. I probably would have tried to force the Solemn somehow. Maybe like compulse the Breaker and then try to force it that way. Yeah, that could be pretty good. Like, leave both monsters in play and then pass. And then if he like tries to Brain Control, I can compulse. He's forced to Solemn. And then I have Cyber Dragon plus Caius for game. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. Anyway, it's just the second game I queued up. Let's get into the third game. It's up against this motherfucker. I don't know how to say his name. Please just make your name something I can say. Or at least search for. Anyway, this game we open up with a pretty solid hand. We are going second. But my opponent opens the nuts. So, we're going to see how well this deck does into the nuts. He's got Cards of Consonance into Trade-In. And as you can see from his hand, there's no way he's not drawing his whole deck this turn. It's a little unfortunate. He's going to Magical Stone, add back the Trade-In. White Stone, add Blue Eyes. I think he misplayed. What he should have done was activate Rejuvenation. And then Magical Stone back to Rejuvenation. I think that's a little bit better than what he did, but it's all the same. He's going to draw 2. He's going to hit Future Fusion. He's going to hit the second Rejuvenation anyway, so it doesn't fucking matter. Future Fusion, send 5. Looks like he is playing the 1 Wyvern. This is a card that a lot of Dragon Turbo players have picked up. And he's going to activate Rejuvenation and phase draw 5. Not even shuffling the hand, revealing that he had the second Rejuvenation. Draw another 5. And then he's going to go to discard. So this is a misplay for my opponent. Not a misplay, but it's a mistake. If you go to discard, you can no longer use the Red Eyes Wyvern. This comes up quite frequently because sometimes you'll Super Rejuvenation into like 20 cards and you'll go to end phase discard and you'll discard that Wyvern. If you could use Wyvern after you end phase discard, it would be significantly better because the Rejuvenation would just like draw you into Red Eyes you'd put into play immediately. But as it stands, you can't Rejuvenation, end phase discard, then activate the Wyvern. You have to wait another full turn. So because he went straight to discard before activating his Wyvern, that means he can no longer activate it. He discards a bunch of cards on his hand. He tries to activate the Wyvern, but I'm like, nah, you can't. You discarded. If you discarded an end phase, you can no longer Wyvern. That being said, if he did Wyvern here, it would have been much worse for him because I would be able to go Cyber Dragon plus Airbellum, Synchro into Colossal Fighter, Crash Clear the Red Eyes for free, and then just have a Colossal Fighter, which this deck actually really struggles to deal with without putting up Drago. So it would have ended up being worse for him, which is quite funny. Anyway, we draw Bottomless. Breaker, pop the back row. He chains it. It's reckless. I'm just like, well, fuck me. You just have it all. What can I do? Attack for 1600. It could have just been a spell he didn't want to discard, but I figured I'd hit that just in case. We do have Solemn Judgment, though, which can go pretty far. He starts on Avarice. We have to Solemn that, unfortunately. He doesn't drop the Trag, which doesn't make any fucking sense. You should have dropped the Trag there 1000% of the time. Literally no reason not to. He's going to retarget Vortex Trooper. Has to summon it and attack. On resolution, I'm going to compulsory the Debris Dragon back to his hand. He's going to activate Magical Stone, draw into Pot of Avarice again, activate that Pot of Avarice, shuffle back some cards. So it's pretty impressive that even in this circumstance, where our opponent has literally played his entire deck, has literally gone entirely full combo mode. All we've needed is one Solemn, one Compulse, and one Breaker to make it a little bit awkward for him. So the fact that only 3 cards can deal with the absolute nut draw of Dragon Turbo, or at least keep it to a certain point controlled, is pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting. It's at least buying me another turn here. He can Instant Fusion into the Red Eyes. He's going to Super Rejuvenation, Instant Fusion, bring out the Darkfire. I'm going to Bottomless here so he can't like special Red Eyes priority bring something out. So Bottomless the Darkfire. He's going to pass, draw 1 card off the Rejuvenation. We rip Caius. Caius can be okay. I'm going to go ahead, normal summon Airbellum, attack 1600. He's going to draw a card. He's not going to drop Tragodia for some fucking reason. Dragon Turbo players be opening the nuts and just punting the game away. Not that it really matters. I'm going to activate Airbellum. He's going to say, okay, I'm going to roll the dice, discard a card, and then he's going to try to activate Tragodia after all that. And I'm like, no, you can't do that. Like, you can't do that. And I'm like, yeah, it has to be Chain Link 2 to Airbellum. I let him know, though, because it's the same window. It says inflicts battle damage. That's the same thing as this, when you take battle damage. It's the same window, so they have to chain, right? But I say, like, you can add the constants back. You can special the Tragodia if you want to on the Airbellum attack, and I'll get a better chance to discard a card. Like, if that's what you want me to do, then we can do that, main phase 2. Like, I can do that. But he decides against it. He decides against taking it back, and I'm like, all right, fine. You know what? I gave you an opportunity to take it back, you know, whatever. Once again, it doesn't matter because I'm just making Arcanite main phase 2, and I would just blow up the Tragodia anyway. And I'm fairly certain I've lost this game, provided he has double red med plus a normal summon. That being said, he didn't have the normal summon, but he upstart rips into it, so unlucky. He had 2 left in his deck, and he hit 1 out of 9 cards, and what can you do? He just had the nuts this game, and we didn't draw good enough follow-up. The Cyber Dragons, I have been increasingly unimpressed with. So the cards I've loved so far, Breaker the Magical Warrior has been great. Airbellum's been great. All of the X-Saber cards that I've included have been great. Cyber Dragon has been mediocre. Mediocre to bad, I would say. And Caius the Shadow Monarch has been very good. Now, Caius the Shadow Monarch here shines because if we would survive this turn, we would be able to Cyber Dragon plus Caius and at least sort of stabilize to some degree. But, yeah, we don't survive this turn. Opponent makes another mistake. He should have brought back Drago. And he's like, I got robbed of this game on 2 rulings. No, you didn't, brother. You got so lucky it did not matter. And then on top of that, if you would just fucking... The other ruling didn't matter either. Because if he summoned the red men, then I make Colossal, and it's like, you have to deal with a Colossal, and like, his deck doesn't deal with a Colossal, so... Yeah, you get the idea. He should have brought back Drago there at the end as well to go for game. Anyway, this game, I get to bring in the D-Fissures, and I actually get to open one, which is really nice, because D-Fissure just gives you game versus these decks, like hella game. I draw for turn, multiple fucking Cyber Dragons. This card is ass. It doesn't let you press advantage. It like makes it awkward going first. I don't want to keep it in the main. I like legit don't want to keep it in the main. It does help you with what's that card? Caius, but I'm thinking Instant Fusion is better than Cyber Dragon. I'm thinking Instant Fusion might be the wave. Anyway, activate Dimensional Fissure, set Compulsory Evacuation Device. He can't do anything under Dimensional Fissure unless he Truenates. He doesn't have a great way to convert his hand anyway. He completely bricked because that's what this deck does. It just bricks 30% of the time. We Rhoda for DD Warrior Lady because that's a nice summon. Summon, attack for 15, pass the turn back. He draws into Debris. He could have set the Debris to try and survive. We draw Compulsory, but we have the OTK, the Yada Lock versus him, which is normal summon Full Helm Knight, Synchro into Airbellum. Those should have been banished, but it doesn't really matter because this is a Yada Lock and he loses because his hand is bricked. And he can't do anything versus Airbellum. Plus, like, multiple compulsories. It's just going to crush this game. So we move on to Game 3. Game 3 is tough because he, once again, opens nuts. So that's just kind of that, you know. Consonants trade in and have it all. He goes ahead, sets, activates Rejuvenation, passes the turn back, and phase discards Blue Eyes. He already has the OTK plus Trunade, which is insane. In the top 13 cards, just normal Debris, double red med, bring out double Blue Eyes, game's over. I drew 1 monster, and it's not the monster I needed to draw. I sided out Heavy Storm going first, but going second I brought it back in case he had a big Rejuvenation turn where he sets a bunch of cards, or in case he has Royal Decree, like this. But that being said, it's still tough. It's still tough. And we don't have We don't have that powerful Solemn Judgment. We don't have that powerful whatever way to stop this giant Trunade. So connecting for 13 is like only marginal. I was thinking of maybe including like a Don Zalug that we could search off reinforcement, or just something that can hand rip, because it gives us an extra way to hand rip basically. And it also turns the Rhoda into an alert target, which is interesting. So it's possibly something I want to do. But yeah, he's just got giant Trunade and actually fucking OTK through all that. Not OTK, but functional OTK, because this deck cannot come back from this board. We just don't play Lightning Vortex. We just don't play any of that. Like, the idea of this deck is to not get to this point, but once it gets to this point, it's like, yeah, it's over. So, interesting deck. I definitely learned a lot from playing it. I'm gonna go ahead and hop into the builder, and I'm gonna show you guys what I would change basically, because I think upon reflection, there's a lot I liked, and there's like a direction here that could be really cool, particularly with the dimensional fissures. So I'm thinking what I would do is like cut the Kaiku. I had already started making some of these changes. Cut the Cyber Dragons entirely, right? Start with kind of this. Possibly play the Don Zalug, like I had mentioned, just to make sure we can keep the Allure having 10 targets. This is also gives Sangan a way to search a hand rip. It gives Rhoda a way to search a hand rip. And it gives Rhoda a way to search an alert target, which is nice. In the sideboard, I would probably sideboard the Kaikus, but maybe only one. I would go up to 3 Saberhole in the sideboard because I kind of wanted these. Double Starlight Road, possibly cutting one of these for a Dark Bribe. Just because I don't think Dark Bribe is like that good, but in this deck, sometimes you want to protect your back row or protect your like Saberholes basically going first, or protect your D-Fissures going first or whatever. And giving them an extra card is not the end of the world because you can just hand rip it. And like you tempo walk, like you time walk them basically, so they don't get the opportunity to access that extra card. So I think if there's a Dark Bribe deck, the hand rip deck, or the deck that's looking to hand rip the opponent, is the deck where Dark Bribe probably matters the least. So I was thinking of maybe siding a Dark Bribe. And then I actually did want to try Instant Fusion. With this deck, we have 9 3-star tuners, or not 9, sorry. Well, technically 9, but like soft 7. We've got Rhoda, triple Airbellum, triple Full Helm, and then I guess Sangan and Ember's Blade, roughly 10 3-star tuners. I would say like you could marginalize it that the Ember's Blade and the Sangan are not quite 3-star tuners, but they could easily become 3-star tuners. So I like to say 9 because Ember's Blade can put a 3-star tuner into play that turn, whereas Sangan kind of can't. So I'd say like roughly 9. And I think with 2 instant fusions, that's a lot of ways to convert. And then on top of that, triple Caius, that's a lot of ways to convert those instant fusions. I think instant fusion really shines here as well because it lets you make like Stardust Dragon, or you could make X-Saber Urbellum and hold up your Saberhole, so you have like a powerful monster plus Saberhole backing it up. That's pretty sick. And then you would have to make some changes to the extra deck. Probably cut one of the Arcanites, probably cut the Mistworm, and then we would add like Carbon Nala Warrior, and we would add the 5-star guy. Whatever 5-star guy you feel like adding. I don't think there really is one that matters. Let's see. Is there one that... I think the Mariner is the best one because it gets in under bottomless. So this way you can, with Instant Fusion and Full Helm Knight, you can get Mariner, and then you can make Stardust under bottomless, which is actually really nice. So I think I would try something like this moving forward. And I think that there's something to be said about a deck looking like this. Like, this looks actually pretty solid. This looks like a fun deck. It looks like it has a lot of tools, going first, going second. It has a lot of cards that interact with both fair and unfair strategies. Namely, like, Full Helm Knight is great against those like fair Raikou decks, and Airbellum's really great against those like unfair like combo decks because you're like attacking the hand. Grand Mole helps you against synchro decks. Gore's Trag makes sure you stay alive. Caius makes sure you stay in the game. That sort of thing. And then Instant Fusion makes sure you can go second, which is pretty nice. I think I would try something like this. I think this looks really fun. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. Once again, stay tuned for the updated RBET Laurel, Maryland date. Apologies to those of you who are pre-registered. Like I said, we will be in contact with you. And if we haven't, then please contact us. If you haven't received an email from us in the next 2 days, please contact us, and we will help you get refunded or resituated however is necessary. So thank you guys for your patience with that, and I'll see you guys in the next vid. Peace.